Here's a new video on us restoring the heat valve on a 1935 Chevrolet exhaust manifold. The shaft was frozen. The manifold must have been attempted to have been repaired once before because the spring and the baffle and the little hood that goes over here came to us in a bag. Could kind of tell that there had been something going on in there previously. So the video starts out with the three parts, just an inventory, and then a shot of the manifold. And if you pay attention to this area on the picture of the manifold, you can see that this was stubbed off and flush with the cast iron, and then the shaft that the baffle is on was mangled and only maybe about a quarter inch of it or so sticking through anymore. So it didn't give us a lot of information on how things were. A little bit of online searching, found some pictures. Never any good pictures of detail shots on the internet. That's my most recent pet peeve. I'm sick and tired of looking at three-quarter shot images from the front or back of a car without any details that are helpful. But the rest of the video just shows me using two different vice grips to be on both ends where the shaft is coming through the manifold to try and wiggle it back and forth and get it loose. I'd already applied heat carefully to the manifold. If you unevenly heat cast iron too much, you run the risk of cracking it. So we had to be careful about how much heat we put on it. Didn't want to bust out the holes where the shaft goes through, so I had to be very careful. Can't be super abusive about trying to get it out. But a lot of time of wiggling it back and forth, reheating it, trying to do a little bit of a quench on the shaft with penetrating fluids. Finally started to get some movement, and finally was able to get that old shaft loose, and then it was so destroyed that we just had to start over and make a new one. So made a new shaft, and the rest of the video will show you that. So here's the restored heat riser baffle. If you recall from earlier pictures, this stud was completely flush with the manifold, and this one was pretty much boogered and collapsed and of an unknown length. The baffle itself and the spring and the lid were just in a bag. So I started out with the frozen old shaft. This was what's left of the old shaft. This end was on the weight in the back. And here's the mangled end, which didn't give us a whole lot of information on the length or whatever it was. So first thing was to get the old shaft free and out, and we were able to do that. It takes time because you can't hurry and rush things, or else you break the manifold and then you're really in trouble. So we got on the lathe and we made a new shaft. From pictures online, it had a hole, and of course it needs a slit for the spring. And then I never did get a good picture anywhere of this, so this is my best understanding of what it probably was. It had to be turned to be threaded into the manifold, and then it also had to be bored and threaded to take a screw to put this on. We'll do that after the demonstration. Right now the spring is cold, as if the car had not been running, and you can see there's spring tension on the baffle. Once I'm done and I know everything works, I'll swedge over those machine screws so that the baffle can't fall out. I'm going to take a heat gun and simulate heat on the spring from the car running. A little noise now. That heat's going to relax that bimetal spring. And as that spring tension relaxes, the weight over on this side is going to close that thing. So now it's simulating as though the engine's been warmed up. And you can see the baffle is now allowing exhaust gases to go completely through and dump out the back. Shut the car off. Now the manifold will be hot, and this might take a little while longer in real life. But as that spring cools, hopefully cools quickly because my battery's blinking. Here it comes. Now the spring is going to wind up as the car cools down and open that back up again. So all that's left is to put this hood on. And there goes my tilted manifold. But I think we're done.